Okay, and the third question.
It's a pleasure to hear all you said, President. My name is Fumi Akinlui. I work for Delphos, which is a capital advisory firm. And having invested across, and I must disclaim, I'm Nigerian, I'm not from Zambia. Having invested across Africa for many years, and now looking at capital raising for governments and corporates, one thing I think Africa isn't doing right is the PR. We are not selling the Africa story. So when you said marketing Africa, that is particularly of interest. So for me, what I would like to know is how you are going to also market the additional resources that you have. That's the solar you have, the hydro, the bio, because capital is coming into that area. We're seeing a lot of interest, but it would be good if we also know from the business side of it whether the countries are ready for that capital. And just to add, it would also be good on the scholarship side for capacity building to ensure that we're targeting these key areas, because the capital is going to come as we push decarbonization across the world. And so we need the human capital to be ready for that too.
Take another.
Mr. Chunga, one more.
Good afternoon, my name is Bam Chunga. I am an insolvency practitioner under the banner of MCA Consulting. I'd like to take you up on that challenge where you said we need to get rid of the old way of doing things. Recently, the Zambian government made a very difficult decision to close DBZ and Invest Trust.
Yes.
But the same old approach was taken, and a regulator was appointed to do that insolvency. We would like the opportunity to take up such work. Thank you very much.
So that's 4 questions for His Excellency.
Yes. Thank you. Can I give it a go?
Yes, please.
Load shedding solutions. I think we basically articulated this issue. I believe the colleague wasn't in that session we had. We had a quick interchange. Oh, it was lunch today. So basically we are saying that the first thing is to acknowledge that we thought as a country we had already achieved success because we were actually in a surplus, energy surplus, just 8 months ago. One drought took us out from surplus to energy insufficiency. Why? Of course, because of the drought. But secondly, consequentially, because we are dependent on hydro. Green as it is, good as it is, it was wrong and we erred as a country. We did not act quickly to increase our energy mix, number one. So going forward, we're working on that right away as an immediate measure to inject a more balanced energy mix. Green as much as possible, but also look at the resource endowments that we have. Because that's what God gave us. Otherwise, we're creating a national insecurity arising from energy insecurity and food insecurity. Combined, we now have a national insecurity. So the energy mix, so we don't depend on hydro alone. Of course, within the hydro, we are working on doing something better. For example, we know our colleagues in the Silicon Valley, we are aware of that, are working on a research that will allow even a 10-meter head of water to basically generate a little bit more power from the hydro. Because the water levels go down, we wipe out 1,000 megawatts. 1 gigawatt, that's a lot of power, isn't it? So, but with that technology coming through, and we would like to see it come through quickly, we can still generate reasonably higher quantities of electricity, even though there's a drop in the water levels. But that's will require a bit more investment on the existing turbines. I don't want to go into details. So, but away from there, solar comes in. Wind. We are talking about green hydrogen with my friend who was exhibiting out there. Where is he? There he is. There he is. Again, there he is. So these array of other sources are important to us. And I don't want to say this is short term, this is medium, this is long term. It's a package. So otherwise, I'll take a little bit more time to explain that. But we are also doing reforms. That part of our economic restructuring agenda was to do reforms, including in the energy sector, where we're brought in, since you asked the question, things such as open access to net metering. Net metering alone, for example, will allow small producers of power, a widow who's been saving with NAPSA, pension fund in Zambia, can now, again, part of our economic restructuring, access 20% of their savings, their pension, and they can actually put up a 50 kilowatt solar facility on top of their roof. And if they consume 40 kilowatts, they can drip 10 kilowatts into the grid. So we expect what I called, my economic advisor, Dr. Nakamba is here, I called it a week ago, solar explosion. Small producers, there's an opportunity. Someone asked me of the 11th province. So you guys should be thinking of that, to invest back home. Yeah, it's good to get a mortgage, 1 or 2 houses. Here, the return is low. I know it. I live here. I live here. I scan the market. Remember, I come from business. I'm not your typical politician. I come from business. So your returns will be better there. Part of the reforms we've now brought in, number 3, is to bring private traders in the electricity market. And I explained over lunch how the private traders have already brought in efficiencies. A utility called ZESCO, which you know, was importing power from Mozambique at 18 cents per kilowatt hour. From the same source, 2 private traders were able to bring in the same power, same quality, right, at 12.5 cents per kilowatt hour. You know the answer. You know the reason. Those changes have come in now, which means that the same power we bring, we can bring it at a lower cost. I think I touched on it a little bit here in my speech, maybe over lunch. But also, we'll be blending the tariff now from different sources. Some are higher production costs by nature, others are lower. We blend the tariff to try and lower the cost. Then quickly, because this question is loaded, quickly, also we are working on what we are calling lifeline energy provision to a woman who runs a salon or indeed a tea shop in the market. Shouldn't be load shedding, because what they consume maybe is 20 kilowatts, 30 kilowatts. It's nothing in the context of things. And then the tariff associated with that. All these changes were not there. So we should not be load shedding health centers. We should not be load shedding water utilities. We shouldn't, because these are lifeline issues. So these reforms plus, so the generation increase in generation, this subject is a longish one. 5 megawatts, you're a Zambian, is an opportunity. Aggregate yourselves, raise $2 million. The other $2 million for a 5 megawatts power station will show you where you can find it. And you'll have a 5 megawatts power station. All of a sudden, you sit here at Oxford, elsewhere, you will be doing a business easy to run. Because 1 metering point, 1 invoice, electronically generated, you have money every month. That return is higher than your mortgages here. No question about it. So anyway, that's the story. Quickly, 11th province. Yesterday again, I was meeting Zambians. We have given jobs to colleagues in the 11th province. For example, the permanent secretary in defense comes from Scotland. A Zambian who lived in Scotland maybe for 15 or so years. Can't remember. But so long. This High Commissioner here is from the 11th province. She was in South Africa for a long time. from the 11th province. So we're giving jobs. The ambassador, our high commissioner rather, to Australia is from the 11th province. Munsha from Canada. You all have an idea about Munsha. Very vocal. He's now a dignified diplomat in Australia, from the 11th province. A number of colleagues from the UK branch of our formation are in missions, some are home. I dare say, the chief executive of NAPSA is from the 11th province, Muyangwa. Took him out of the World Bank or IMF. Straight. And I told Muyangwa when we were still in opposition that you have to prepare to come home when we win. We won, he is home, he's doing a good job. Very good job. So we're tapping talent. But now we're saying it's not just jobs. It is business opportunities. Really. Because we also want you to do what you're doing here, to network. It's very important. Let me move on to the next item. Trade. But before I leave that subject, PDU, the president has set up, this fellow has set up a presidential delivery unit and a public-private dialogue forum where we bring ideas from the private sector and the public and agree measures that we need to take which will help the economy and basically the public sector to deliver. Some of the changes we've made in tourism have come from these platforms. And the positive upturn is clear. Some of the changes we are making in the energy sector, right, have come from these platforms. So I would like the 11th province, Pamela is here, Chipo is the deputy head of the Presidential Delivery Unit, to organize ourselves in a way that you can have your finger on the tab all the time so you know what we're doing and the opportunities that are available, including the Zambia Development Agency, which has a lot of projects. I can assure you, just in the mining sector, in the last 2 years, 10 months we've been in office, we've been able to mobilize close to $10 billion of investments. Not a joke. Mopani, $1.1 billion. KCM will be bringing $1.3 billion, new money, right? First Quantum, $1.5 billion. Lumwana Super Pit, $2 billion. Lingomba Project, no, 2.3. $2.3 billion. Sorry, $2.3 billion. $2.3 billion. So when you pull all this together, in 2.5 years, we've been able to mobilize resources, committed investment in one sector only close to $10 billion. It's not a joke. Business opportunities in many ways. And that roads infrastructure development, I saw the PPP, my colleague working on that. We really think we can benefit from that a lot. So we need to bring that technology. Remember I was talking about technology earlier. So, Zambian products, absolutely. This is why we're working together, to bring more Zambian products. We don't want a one-dimensional way of working as partners. It used to be like that. And when it was like that, it was copper coming here, traded on the London Metal Exchange. Even our companies that need to make copper wire, need to make armored cables, had to get a price from the LME price here and buy the copper from Zambia at the LME price instead of buying it in Zambia. I'm extending the argument. It made our local cables more expensive. Now we are reforming. 20% of our production will be available for local processors in the metals, which should lower the cost because you remove the freight and other things. Then we should be able to be competitive on cables, on other things. I've just used one example. As we value art, if you remember, in the heydays, one of the colleagues at lunch talked about agriculture having gone down. It's true. We are reviving it now. We used to bring flowers here.
Yes.
Agriflora,
Not anymore.
a lot of them, not just the Kenyans, us. But we damaged ourselves because of poor policies. Now we are reviving that. So we can also compete when we bring products. But also it's for the developed markets to open your markets for us so we can be worthy partners rather than one-way traffic. I think it's important. Those are things that we're dealing with, government to government, but business to business. But also that's why we want joint ventures. If you understand the spec of what Macy's needs, Marks and Spencer needs, you invest with us. We produce to spec, and it's easy to access the market. There you are. I will end here. I can say more, but I'll end here. Africa is not selling itself well. Total agreed. No argument. Where's the lady? No argument. We just need to work together. We need to work together as a continent, as individual countries, but as a continent as well. The days of thinking that Nigeria should keep what it knows to itself and it will remain stronger are gone. Because if your neighbors are not doing well, you'll have immigration into Nigeria. I know generally it's the other way around in Nigeria. Yeah. So, but I'm not being offensive, right? Yeah, I'm not being offensive. But we definitely need to work as a team with our comparative advantages. The old theories still matter today. Comparative advantages, the things that Nigeria can do better, the things that Zambia can do better. And joint investments. When I talk of direct, foreign direct investment, I'm not talking about Europe, I'm not talking about America, Japan, China. I'm also talking about investments within the continent. Us investing together. And then being able to market ourselves together. Zambia now is one of the few countries that sits on the critical minerals. I repeat, copper, cobalt, nickel, manganese, lithium. Today, out of one business that was exiting before we formed government, and we persuaded them to wait until we formed government. When we formed government, we were able to deal with the issues that stood in the way. We are developing the largest nickel mine on the African continent. Within our 2 years, 10 months in office. And the first cathodes have already come out, concentrates. In 2 years, 10 months. We need now to say, who needs nickel on the continent to further add value? Therefore, we're interdependent, isn't it? So let's market together. I totally agree with you. We also undervalue ourselves. We undervalue our assets. Let me put it this way. Carbon market. Africa has some of the best carbon sinking assets. But who is trading in the carbon market? It's firms from the first world. They dictate the prices, the terms, because we're not working together. One country will agree a carbon trade with a firm from the first world without talking to another country, which may have already done a transaction, and there are lessons to be learned from there. And we're not sharing that. It's our problem. The last COP28 in Dubai, I am glad that we in Zambia led the African group of negotiators. And I think we've done a good job. We agreed two things only I will highlight today. One was basically for loss and damage fund to be operationalized, and it was. The first injection of money was put in there under our leadership in Zambia. So for Africa. For Africa. Two, I can say many things, but two, we agreed that we in Africa should stop engaging in the carbon trade until three things are done. One is to define the market. What is the market? What is this animal, this creature called carbon market? What is this product called carbon? Two, the pricing. Today, African countries do deals in the carbon trade, some $15 per ton. But we know you can get $110 per ton. Pricing. So we now agreed there that we'll work together. Let's stop doing deals around there until we've got our market product defined properly, the pricing. Three, redistribution of revenues. The societies that are looking after these carbon sinking assets get nothing. when a deal is done. The people in the city get all the money, even when they don't know what to do with it. They actually end up bringing it back and banking it here. I'm not joking, it's a serious issue. And money should work for everybody. So the issue of redistribution of value from the carbon trade must include taking care of the communities that have looked after these carbon sinking assets for centuries. And then we can wean them off from damaging the carbon sinking assets, charcoal burning, and all of those things. I think that's enough. Invest insolvency. I see what you're saying. Let's talk. You're looking for business. Let's talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. I think in the interest of time,
Yeah.
I'm very sorry, we will have to cut
Yeah.
out the Q&A session, but we